This program is designed to provide general information with regards to the subject matters covered. This information is given with the understanding that neither the hosts, guests, sponsors, or station are engaged in rendering any specific and personal, medical, financial, legal, counseling, professional service, or any advice. You should seek the services of competent professionals before applying or trying any suggested ideas.
Hey there, it's Brian Sebastian, Movie Reviews and More, live on Talk4 Media, K4HD, radio and podcasting, and over 100 platforms around the world. So this ends up being a special show, and seems like everybody, except for Nonstop in California, is having a storm, or is freezing, or something's going on. But welcome to technology, it always happens. So this show is supposed to be about Edie Hand, my stepmom from Birmingham, Alabama. She's having technical issues right now. But I figured out something. If we can't get her on, I'll just have her put her on by phone. And we'll do the same thing. It just came to me. So, from Nashville, Tennessee, the Dapper. I got something to tell you later, Howard. The one and only Howard Wiggins. All the way, and this is kind of strange. Linda Steele. She's on her third show in a row. Her third Tuesday. Who could have seen that one coming? Usually she's training. But international bestseller, mom, entrepreneur, keynote speaker. I'm thinking all of these things because it's nerves of steel. And I'm sure she has other things to say, which we'll have to listen to now. And then, Nonstop, I keep tagging her. She's creative. I think she has 2 Instagram accounts now because one is Nonstop TM and whatever. But
one's a business account for work. Another one is for my followers. So the one to
But here's the thing. I actually like it. I was looking through it today, and I really like it. I love the photos that you put up there. They're very classy, very tasteful, and good job. I like that. I actually followed it today because I'm always making sure I'm wanting to tag everybody that more people come in and start to follow them. And that's the whole thing about everything. So with that, I'm going to get down to this. I'm going to talk about Edie really quickly, and let's see if we can get her on the phone. Her book is called Women of True Grit. I love this book. Been waiting for it for a long time. She's a best-selling author. But before we get to her, Linda, let's talk about yours, and I'm going to see if we get Edie on. Let's talk about your book. I know it's not in your hand or whatever, anything like that, but you know what? You're here. You're an international bestseller. You're why not, right? Let's talk about Nerves of Steel real quick. Go for it.
Okay, Nerves of Steel. It launched on the 17th of January. Within hours, it became a bestseller on Amazon. With it, but while I slept, it went on the international bestsellers list. I hit number 1 in a bunch of different categories, and I ranked, top 10 in a bunch of categories that were really exciting for me. Number 1 in family health, number 1 in survival biographies, number 2 in psychology, number 7 in interpersonal relations, women in business. It was number 9. I mean, I was just ecstatic. It hit number 1 in business coaching and mentoring, and it's about childhood trauma, how it affects our adult relationships. How do you, how do we manage? How do we manage through everyday life, being a good mom, being a good wife, being a good business owner? I had a hard time, in relationships. It affected my relationships drastically, but eventually I started getting into a good program where I got my body into a balance. Started being able to think clearly, make good decisions, and that's when my life became got it back in my control, and things started going well.
Talk about this. What else has happened from first week to the third week with everybody chiming in? You had a nice story with someone who read it and it triggered something. That's what it's supposed to do, to bring out those things.
Brian, my phone's been blown up from friends, from fans, from relatives. People are coming to me saying, oh my gosh, I had a relationship, very similar with my dad, and I see I see dads interacting with little girls being so cute, and I just wonder what that would be like. And I can't seem to have a good, solid, stable relationship, as a result of my childhood. And this book is really helping me work through some things and think about things from a different perspective. And I mean, I'm just having people from all over the place. My phone's blowing up all day long. It's really kind of cool.
All right, so let's go back to Howard first. Howard, what's going on with everything? And then what do you think about Linda's book? Because you wrote a book before she did. And so I've always said this, it's always a good time to bring back that book because there's always someone who's never seen it, who's never read it. And I think that's a great thing. What do you say, Howard?
I wrote a book called What Were You Thinking? Recognizing Costly Mistakes That Everybody Made. It's an interior design book. That's what I did before this. I'm one of the world's 35 leading interior designers, and it was featured in, my home was featured in with Ivana Trump, George Harris of the Beatles, and several other famous people. So, and then I wrote a book, and that's the Recognizing Costly Mistakes book, and that's it.
Well, talk about that. All right, talk
about 2 or 3 years.
Talk about what room you're in, first of all, and what's that painting in back of you?
That's Casanova. It's a Bungray painting. It's the only one he said he ever had a model for, and it's Casanova. So I love art. This is my kind of hallway art gallery upstairs. Of course, the whole house is nothing but art, but that's part of my love, and that's what I like. So, in fact, I've got 2 more paintings being framed right now that I want to upgrade a little bit. So I'm always trying to make things look a little bit better all the time. So, and then the book that I was talking about before, that's the Andrew Martin Volume 3 that I'm featured in with Ivana Trump and George Harris of the Beatles, and you'll see my home in that one. I kind of got that mixed up with what I wrote.
I get it.
Yeah.
All right, so Linda Steele, back to you on what you were talking about, because I wanted to talk a little bit about Howard's, because I'd like to see that. I don't even know what it looks like, but every time we see, every Tuesday, every week that we see he's in it, feels like he's in a different room. Why not? Why not talk about that book? So back to your book, Nerves of Steel.
Nerves of Steel. So again, I was on a podcast yesterday with a woman, and I believe that's going to be airing on Thursday. And she read my book, and she was telling me about her own childhood trauma and how it affected her. And you just don't realize I had no idea what this was actually going to do to people around the world. Everybody has trauma of some sort. Not all of us had childhood trauma. We may have had trauma that happened a little bit later in life. It could have happened in our teens. It could happen in our 20s, our 30s. I have clients now who are just experiencing trauma for the first time in their lives, and they're in their 50s and 60s. So it happens all the time. We don't always know when it's going to happen. But what I try to show people in my book is the program that I teach, the whole, working out and eating clean. You're able to make good decisions. It helps you learn how to adapt and how to pivot in life, because life keeps coming at you. This isn't, life isn't just, oh, we had a bunch of shit come our way, we've got to figure it out, we're good. It's not like that. It's not that easy. Life is fluid. It keeps coming at you. Sometimes it's coming in hot, and you have to know how to deal with it. So, I show people in my book how I made plans to get out of toxic situations. I made plans to get out of toxic relationships. And even though they were very difficult to escape from, and some of them took me quite a while, I still managed to get out and make a happy life for myself.
And obviously your mom is in there, so we have to say hi to her. And it's funny, I have some toys coming to you because Marsha, who was on last week, I don't know if she gave you a call this week, she wants to send them to Chicago for the nuns to give away.
Oh, yes, you told me that. I have not heard from her, but I can't wait. And I haven't even told my mom about it yet, so you'll have to tell her since she's on watching.
No, we can do that. We'll do that. All right, so talk about this. I'm gonna have Linda. I'm gonna have Edie call in a couple minutes.
Okay.
What's been the most important thing that's changed your life now in week 3 for Nerves of Steel? I got you thinking. I like that.
I did have to think about that, and I'm going to definitely say the impact that it's had on people. I did not realize it was going to, I was hoping that it would. I mean, that's the whole idea, that you get your message out and you let people, kind of understand. But what I thought was going to happen was people were going to more understand me in the way that I am and how I do things. But what it did instead, it made them take a look within themselves, and it made them understand a little bit more about themselves. So yes, this was a self-help book, but I didn't realize the impact that it was going to have. And I'm so happy that I could make a difference. Even if I make a difference in one person's life, even if I have one person come to me and say, now I know what I'm going to do different, or now I know how the perspective of which I'm going to view this. Even if one person has a different outlook, that it's worth it to me. And it turns out I've had a few people, like I said, come to me and say, oh my gosh, yes, I know exactly what you were talking about during that time. I know. I have at least 4 people who've come to me and said, I am going to write my book after all. I was going to write a book. I kept I'm writing a book now because I read your book and I know that there's meaning in it, and I know that I can do good in somebody else's work.
Well, I know I can't wait to get my copy. I checked the mail today. It didn't come yet. But I look forward to having yours. I'm putting yours right next to Edie's.
Yeah.
So this is funny. So with this, what else has been happening? Do you have it in the gym also, so people can actually purchase there?
I don't have it in the gym yet, but I am going to. I purchased a few copies for myself to give out to podcasts, and I have not yet put them in the gym because I want to do a little display, and I'm having something printed up for that so that I can do that. So they'll be in the gym. I've had people ask me, hey, can I buy a few copies because I want to give them to my friends. So I autographed a few today, so I have to bring them to work tomorrow. So it's really cool. I'm just excited. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful that people cared to support me, and then they supported me and went, oh, I actually got something really good out of this.
Well, congratulations on that. All right,
you.
Edie, I think you're on our hotline there. Can you hear us? Can she hear us, DJ? Not quite sure.
She can hear us. I see it in the notes.
Okay, so she said yes. I want to see if she can introduce herself. And then I'm going to show her a book, and then I'll use that photo of her when she's talking that we have. Okay, so if Edie can hear us, Edie, I want you to say who you are, where you're coming from. I can't hear her.
Mm-mm.
Well, until we get her, Terry, what's been going on?
Oh, what's been going on? I had for my corporate job, I had, if people don't know, I also sell medical software with all the crazy stuff that I do. So we had our national sales meeting this week. So that was good. We had like our team building meetings and stuff that we're going to do in the future. So I was kind of busy with all that. And then I have been I'm proud of myself, I've been sticking on my workout program, which the hardest part for me is the food, it's the diet issue. So I've been on point for the last 4 weeks now. So that's going good. I've been drinking my water every night. So
that's good.
It's actually helping me detox. And you're right. It is actually helping me sleep a lot better. I have a lot clearer focus. I've been taking the drops for focus. So I just wanted to give a shout out to that water. I highly suggest that everybody gets on that program. I've been a little bit distracted because I've just been helping my mom and my brother. My brother's had some major health issues this week, and so did my mom. So it kind of took me off the track. So I just wanted to comment about Linda. I'm really proud of you because eventually, when it's time, I would like to write a book about, my trials and tribulations and the stuff that I'm actually going through right now, dealing with an elderly mom and a sick brother, because you don't know. I mean, what you're saying, trauma hits you at all phases of life. My first time I dealt with trauma was you know, when I was 40 years old, and my husband beat me, almost killed me at the hospital. I had never gone through any trauma at all in my life until I was 40 years old. I had pretty much had a perfect life, and then I ended up almost dead. And now I'm going through a different type of thing that's kind of traumatizing, losing my mom and dealing with a diabetic brother that's, you know, very sick. So I would like to talk about these experiences because, you know what, you have to equip yourself to deal with this stuff because you never know what life is going to throw at you. So I just wanted to, you know, let you know, I really want to read your book because I want to see how you handled, you know, your certain situations. Because I think it's important for everybody, because I think everybody, I used to say this, that God kind of slaps everybody in the face at one point in your time. You have to learn how to pick yourself up, but you're never handed something more that you can't handle.
Yeah. And there are plenty of times that you think you can't handle it. There are times that you just want to throw in, and but you just have to remember, you know, my dad told me this one time, I'll never forget it. I was going through some really hard times. It was when I was still married, and I just couldn't seem to, you know, to get a grip on my life, or what was, I had no control over what was going on. And my dad reminded me, you know, in 6 months from now, your life is not going to be anything like it is right now. So if you could just hold tight. And I would say, but how do you know? How do you know? He said, because look at your life 6 months ago. Is it like it was 6 months ago? No, it's totally different. Good, bad, or otherwise. It's totally different. So your life is not going to be the same in 6 months. So if you just hold on tight. And Terry, in your situation, it's unfortunate. You don't have control over a couple things going on. You have control over your mom's health or your brother's health. You know, you could help guide your brother in certain things. I don't know if he's type 1 or type 2 diabetic, but there are certain things that he could do to improve his life. But, you know, maybe not. I don't know. You know,
yeah, I'm working with him on certain things. You know, I'm trying to work on. Well, it's kind of hard because I haven't had a close relationship with my brother, and I'm trying to build that relationship with him. So, you know, I know that, again, I'm not going to be throwing anything that I can't handle, but there have been times, and like people know, like I've gotten really depressed and I haven't known how to handle it because I've been one of those I've been that person. I've been lucky. I've been fortunate. I've always had a family member or somebody that I can rely on, either a husband or a boyfriend or someone to help me through. And this is the first time in my life that I've had to go through a traumatic experience alone, with no family, with no one. So I'm really being tested. So I'm finding out that I'm a lot stronger than I thought I was. But I think everybody has those nights where you wake up in the middle of the night, you start crying, and you're like, how do I deal with this? And you go through panic attacks. I think it's just a normal part of dealing with this. But I think, you know, everybody loses their parent and goes through this at one point in their life, and it's not easy for anybody. You just go through it in different ways.
Yeah. There's a chapter in my book where that I have to deal with that, and it's that amongst a bunch of other things. It was just the icing on the cake. It was just piled on, and then, you know, and you know.
All right, Linda, hold on for a minute. I'm going to see about doing this with Edie. Let's try this, all right?
Okay. Yep.
All right, Edie. So I'm going to see if you can hear it. So you're going to be talking to Linda Steele, the audience, Howard Wiggins, and Terry Marie. So let's go for this. All right, let's tell us about this book, Women of True Grit. This is what it's all about. Inspiring stories and getting through those hardships, whether it's technology or anything else like that, isn't it? Edie?
Well, I don't know if you were talking to them. Well, Women of True Grit is it's how we believe that all women, I think, they have a way through their own strengths. I guess what Terry and Linda were talking about to each other. Sorry for all this technical difficulty we're having, but it's one thing where you work through things. If something's not working, you have to find a solution.
We found a solution.
And I have found that I use the metaphor of a oyster shell with that through irritations inside of an oyster shell, a beautiful pearl is born. And that the same is with women, that we go through these different irritations in life that help us to become the person we need to be. And I find that then telling the stories of other women and their voices is that it gives them an opportunity to share how they change each season of their life. And being at this seasoned senior time of my life, it has been a pleasure to share these 60 plus women's stories, as well as women through the magazine we do with the Women in Film and Television, and through television that I do with ABC in the state of Alabama on 3340. And as we look at different markets, it's really taking for the ones that are listening and they're trying to market their books and do things, is you take a brand and you grow the name and what the storytelling is about, so that different people will find different elements in different stories that can help them to find a piece within themselves. They find pieces of themselves in other people's stories. And that's what I find has become that is authentic. And that's why, I have the passion to do this for other women, is because I have walked some of their walks.
And Edie, what we just did, we just showed a couple photos of you and the Elvis. I think it was the Golden Globe or the Emmy, and then the Silver Spur. I think that's what it was.
Oh, well, what you probably saw was me holding an award that I received with Jerry Schilling, which was one of Elvis's best friends, and my son was there, and Jerry's wife. Jerry and I went on stage to receive this award for Graceland, and it's at the museum now there at Graceland. Elvis's contributions to Western film, and it was quite an honor to see people from Gunsmoke, people from the Waltons, and on of history, and they're all quite seasoned, but every one of them that worked with Elvis came over to Jerry and my table and would say how kind he was. And, one person can change your life. And a person like Elvis Presley was such an extraordinary icon that he touched the world. And there's a lot of different type of icons, but there's very few extraordinary icons. And he's certainly one of them. And if you showed the picture of his daughter, Lisa Marie, and I was just at Graceland just a few days before the Golden Globes. I don't normally go up for a lot of different things, but I went up for this because she was going to be there, and I got to talk with her a little bit and remember the sweet things of when she was a young girl. And then I helped my Aunt Delta to babysit her a few times when I was there. I think she was probably around 4 years old. But it was sweet for her and sweet for me. Bittersweet that she died a few days later suddenly. And also, when you're such a person that can change your life in any of these stories I've written, is you think about how someone like that, people always have the good, the bad, and the ugly to say. But it's hard when you're not here on this earth to answer the questions or to set something straight. All I can say is it's hard living in a glass on both sides where people are looking in and telling you things. And there's no different as we do to ourselves, Brian, is that through the stories of the women of true grit, women have had to try to find themselves so that they could get through their own fears, to walk through them, to have the courage to walk through them and find that grit. Because grit, like I say, it's great resilience, is transformative. And when you find the ability to walk through your fears and get on the other side of that, that's a beautiful thing. Not everybody can do it. I have watched in my own family of extended family of superstars, even within my own family. My son is an up and coming star that has arrived in the television world on NCIS Hawaii as Charlie One, the new character on Monday nights on CBS. I come from a family of incredibly talented, strong women. So my grandmother Alice was my one that showed me the most about courage and understanding about getting second chances in life. And, you know, sometimes we start out on one ride in life and our horse has to take us another direction. It's not exactly the way we planned it. But sometimes it's a better destiny than we thought what we wanted. I share a lot of women's stories throughout this book like this, from Brigadier General Wilma Vaught to astronaut Jan Davis to the first African-American woman that has her own winery, Donna Stoney, to the icon Jeannie Seeley, how awesome she is, being the first female host at the Grand Ole Opry, CeCe Winans, an incredible voice for our Lord, and the Christian music of singing. Visionaries, like a young woman I interviewed, she's legally blind, 25 years old. She teaches confidence, allegory of how to tap dance, how to teach children that might not have the ability to do things they want to do. She teaches them for free how to dance, how to enjoy the arts. And the arts is a beautiful way to express oneself at the theater. Mm-hmm. And, you know, an advocate, I have several advocates of women that really, for foster children, I tell the story of Leanne Toohey, which is from Of the Blind Side, but Leanne does so many wonderful things in Memphis, Tennessee to get these children that might not normally have a true family life through her foster care program. You know, there's so many stories that I have been privileged, like I said, to tell, and I've stood on the shoulders of many of the giants throughout my career in this 50 years span. And I think here in my 70s to be starting this, I put myself there in that category, and knowing Barbara Walters, I did through the women. It was in those days when we started back in the 70s, was American Women in Radio and Television, and she was so accessible. Her, Katie Couric, at that time, Sally Jesse Raphael, many of these women that we would have our luncheons in Manhattan at the Waldorf. And I just think at 68, she started The View. So at 70, to do this last of the Women of True Grit series that I've done through the art of storytelling in different veins of radio, television, podcast, digital, books, films. Today, we have to educate our younger women and tell them that it's worth having a dream. Learn how to respond better in life instead of overreacting, so that your choices bring you more joy than not. You know, so many young people have no value of life, of people going and they shooting people. They are overreacting and beating and killing children, all different cases. And we are trying to teach that if we would just stop and take a breath and respond to a situation instead of overreacting, maybe people's lives would not have to end the way they've ended. And many people suffer from it. So the women of True Grit are women that have learned to go through, from trafficking to abuse, betrayal. But some don't have a horrible situations of things that they've had. Some have just had other leaders that have helped them become extraordinary leaders. So you will read every walk of life, every type of nationality, just stories. They are not heartwarming stories. My stories are not. They are heart-moving.
And with Edie, with that, I'm going to ask the very last question, but I'm going to have Terry Marie ask the first question. And you remember Terry Marie because you first met her in Hollywood Film Festival way back in the days, and then when she came to Tennessee, was obviously me, her, and Victoria. Go ahead, Terry.
Yes.
Oh, yes. No, I was just going to say, through these women and their stories, would you say that there's probably like I would say maybe a spiritual connection or something that they all have connected that helped them get to where they are to either get through trauma or to be successful? Do you see a common theme there, or?
Yeah. I think if I heard that correctly, is finding a common thread between all the women.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. One of the things all of the women share great passion for what they are involved in, and they truly all that I interviewed have faith. Faith is things that are sight unseen. And, through that, and to push through your fears with courage, to use that passion so that they could persevere to project what they needed to accomplish it. Yes, I saw those elements of passion, perseverance, positive projection, and all of that has to get no matter what your religious beliefs are, you have to have faith to believe in something to overcome this darkness. And there's not anybody that doesn't have the demons that come for them at different times in their mind. And I tell them that mine is put your pearls on and get your sword up and start slaying your demons. Because we have to every day polish up our armor and be ready, because there's someone going to knock you down, or there's someone going to do something that could offend you. But if you have that center core of you and that polished up armor and that faith, the core of these women, it's what keeps them all going. It keeps me going. I would not still be here through all the things that I have endured. For the first time, I do tell my personal story, a lot of my personal story within this book, to let them know that I too understand very hard things, and I know I've learned how to navigate through life, to find beautiful situations, and to bring back joy in my own life.
Linda Steele, you get second question. Go for it.
Edie, I met you in Nashville back in May, and you were on a panel, and you did tell your story, and it was just, first of all, your voice is just mesmerizing. We're all sitting here like you're telling us a bedtime story. Listening to is just really so calming, but your stories are so intriguing, but they give you incentive to want to take on life the way it comes at you, and you want to take it. You want to polish your sword, and you want to just move forward right quick. Do you feel like you have that effect on everybody you talk to when you're interviewing these women, for your Women of True Grit show? Do you feel like they're feeding off of your energy like that?
Brian, is she asking me how I feel about other people that are there to hear pieces of my story, the energy from me? Is that what I got?
Yeah, and feeling off of your energy, and where she met you at the panel of, obviously, I think Linda being touched by that. Yes.
I think that Linda, thank you. I find myself busier than I intended to be at this season of my life, but sometimes, and my desire is to try to help people, but we can only give what we can give. Mm-hmm. But I do feel that even if it's a moment, I'll use an example of getting to hear Lisa Marie Presley's sweet voice, an extended cousin of mine, to hear say, "Oh, how sweet, I remember Grandma Minnie and what it was like inside of Graceland when she was little," and that joy. And what I found, I had my own memories, and I think it's feeding off of moments and realizing if you can't get a lot of someone's time, What I have found through writing this book, telling stories, sharing pieces of mine, and growing old with my brothers that all three died young, that I tell about their stories, is I'm learning that the moments are okay. We all need to grab moments of a word that could inspire us. Someone take enough time to sit down and talk with you or respond to you in an email. People don't have the time most today, I see, because we're so busy trying to get so much done. You know what I'll tell you, Linda, and growing old young with my brothers, for them to die at 19, 23, and 46, it certainly changed my outlook on life. But in these last 10 years of my life, of the betrayals that I saw of people they'll take ideas from you, they'll take money from you, they'll try to sabotage you. I decided to become responsible for my response or my choices. You know, if I didn't let those people into my life, I wouldn't have had that betrayal, or I would not have had certain kind of emotional struggles. We have to learn from ourselves of our choices, and that's why I say it's so important to listen deeply, live in the moments, and find your joys, because they can be gone. Mm-hmm. You can be here one second and you're gone the next. I listen different. I surround myself with less people. I mean, I get overwhelmed anymore if I get too many things going on. Try to find what you want. If this one person, if I could do something for you, Linda, or Terry, or Brian, if there's one thing, then think about that one thing. Say, could you do this one thing? Could I ask you this? Or anyone. That's what I've learned. It's when I've asked more than one thing, or I've asked maybe too much, that my expectation was disappointed. Mm-hmm. I think that I wanted my brothers to live and grow old with me. Instead, they died at 19, 23, and 46. And then my mom and my father and so many of the people I'm close to. And when I go to that cemetery and I see them all rode up there, the grief is overwhelming for me. So for me to keep going is to hear stories like each of yours, Linda and Terry. You have your own stories that will change others' lives. The way you tell them, the way you let them see how you are trying to live your life, to find your joys in different ways. And sometimes telling your story allows a release of grief, because some things make us so angry we can't function. Some of the women I've dealt with different stories. Another, it's tiring to listen to hard things. Mm-hmm. And when you do that for a long period of time, it takes a lot out of you. What we have to do, if you listen to it, you have to find time to bring that joy back to yourself. Do something special for yourself. I don't care if you go get a mani-pedi, you get a massage, you go watch a movie, you go have lunch or dinner with a friend. But everyone needs something to treat themselves to something different that makes them feel special. Because when you listen to the same old things that are hard, or even if you keep remembering that, it will eat you up. Mm-hmm. It will rob you of your joys. I don't care what age you are. I have chosen that I'm going to share stories, but I'm going to find time for myself to enjoy some of my last days before I go. Because one of the things I regret, I can tell you, even my own story, is I was a workaholic. And I took from spending time with my own son. It affected my marriage. Now he's in heaven. I had someone else that I let come into my life that betrayed me. But you know what? I have to take responsibility for allowing certain people to come into my life. And how did I react to that person? I now try to take a deep breath and respond and be accountable for my own actions. These women in this book of Women of True Grit that comes out in March, and anybody can pick them up, Brian. They can go online to ediehand.com. They can, if they want to have the stories, they'll touch them from all of these women. And see, what I'm saying is, it'll get you to reflect and look in that mirror and go, wow, I could use some of those tools to navigate some of my situations a little better. Or it's not all about making a lot of money. We all got a light bill and we got to make money. But it is about finding peace. And sometimes through writing, it's a beautiful way to find your own peace by sharing your story or other people's stories that could help somebody else. I think you have to find your own destiny that makes it work for you. Fortune and fame, they are comforting when you're grieving, but they will not save you. And what is important is being authentic. And I think, again, like I told Terry and Linda and you too, Brian, is the things that we don't see. It is keeping our faith. It's trying to understand people and not expect everybody to give you the answers, but to try to find pieces of what they're saying and to know that no one person can fix it for you or make it better, but someone perhaps. Think about what you need from that person. If there's one thing then ask them. Try not to overwhelm the person. That's what I learned from a lot of things they learned from their mentors. And then enjoy moments. I'm enjoying moments with people. Sometimes I see them, and then if they're gone from this earth, or they move out of your life for different reasons. Some people just come in and out of your life for a season. Everything I've written about with these women, they were all wanted to be the best they could be as a leader, or they wanted to find peace in their life from what they had experienced. Because when you get to be in your twilight almost years like me, it matters so much. So what you younger folks are doing, like each of you even now, is you get to live older. It's important what you do with your steps now that can make that difference. Just like have the grit, have the courage to keep the resilience, to transform into what you need to be to change your mindset so that you can put your own pearls on and get your sword out and say, I am worthy. I am worthy. I promise you the right person, man or woman, will come into your life and make your life. You will allow it to bring back the joy. I believe that.
Edie, we got about 5 minutes, so Howard, go ahead. You're next. You remember you last saw Howard in Tennessee at Carlock Motors.
Oh, yes. Howard!
What Edie was saying reminds me of what Dolly says. Dolly says that every night she prays for somebody to be in her life that will help her, and the people that are harmful for her, take them out of their life. And you're absolutely right. People come in and out of your life at different times. Mm-hmm. And you have a choice too. If somebody is not good for you, you drop it, because you're the one that's responsible for your happiness. And I think when you are happy, like I am, it shows, and that is the best example of all. Yeah.
Well, I hear that, and I agree that people just know if they're around you, good things radiate from you. And you, Howard, do you have that sense of peace and confidence, because it means, in your personal life, if we don't have our personal lives under control, it can bring you to your knees in your professional life. And I have learned that that's what I'm doing more of, is just those things that he reiterated, Brian.
Very true. So with that, all right, Edie, I wanted to talk about education, but just really quickly, I'll give you 2 minutes on this if you can. I think her last name was Keel. In the education part of the book, it was very interesting.
Beverly Keel.
Yes. Just talk about that really quickly, and then what we're going to have Edie come back as soon as she figures out her schedule. We'll have her come back, because this book is too important. Go ahead.
Beverly Keel, is from Middle Tennessee, and I think that education makes a difference. If we are educated on, even with manners, business leadership, in the music industry that she talks about, as well as being educated through school, through not just your high school, your college, but a PhD in living. It is so important to use your skills. We are actually having at Miles College, a historical black college, on April the 21st. We'll be posting about that in the next 2 weeks on my site, that I hope some of you can come. Howard, you would love it. But it's a lot of women, but there'll be a few men. But it will be.
Howard will be there.
From NASA are about that. They say, I want people to look at me and say, I started from humble beginnings, and to work your way to be able to say, hey, I'm part of helping put the first woman and the first person of color on the moon. Or these students that will say to you, I'm homeless. I'm coming to school because I can eat, I can get a better education, and I don't have to live in a ditch or the street or somewhere I don't want to live. And that takes a lot of courage. And I've seen one of the women that I work with, Dr. Knight, that is the president of Miles College, and say, this education is imperative. I try to find these kids places to live. They get dorms, they get scholarships. There are people that care about it. This of education, our health, how we take care of ourselves. I know we talk about that in the book of, even now, it might going and doing extra things so my heart can be able to have the strength it needs, the stretching of my body, the building the muscles and your bones stronger, the bone density, through even learning how to use a tennis ball on the bottom of your foot, or these toe spreaders I found that help one keep a balance. And of course, your girls know how, these girls are all fit and know how to work out. But even as you get older, your balance changes. I'm telling you, we have women telling stories at this educational opportunity from the colleges that we're talking about to network, listen to what the tools they need to make their lives better, educate everybody on these tools for life, for your health, mental health, physical health, education, so that you can have an opportunity to have a better life in all these areas. Education is powerful. We'll be discussing all different areas of it. The STEM program, how important it is for women instead of just men to be a part of it. And we can look up and look at the stars and go to the moon and beyond. Each one of you that are on with Brian tonight, you all bring something very special to this earth at this time. And I know you're touching lives with your own worlds. And I'm so glad all of you have touched mine. And I hope that I can, in my last days, be more of a joy and a light, and providing education and information and inspiration to people. That's my desire.
All right, you can buy this book. Women of True Grit, it's Edie Hand. Go to ediehand.com. That's ediehand.com, and it'll scroll at the end of the screen. Edie, I want to thank you for this. We're going to close out this show really quickly, and I will talk to you soon. Thank you so much for your guidance, because it's always needed.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Night, Edie.
In here.
Real quick, everybody. Linda Steele, give your social media links.
Linda Steele Wellness, Linda Steele Fit Bod, Linda Steele with an E at the end, all over.
Terry Marie.
Terry Marie Nonstop on all platforms.
Howard.
Howard Wiggins, Facebook. That's it.
And I got to say this really quickly. So, Howard, that video that he put up 2 months ago, when I looked at it this morning, it was at 95,000 views. When I last looked at it, like about 3 hours, 2.5, 3 hours ago, it's at 100 and something thousand views. I don't know what's going on, but his dancing video has gone viral because there's more and more people clicking on, and I can't figure it out. But anyhow, with that, that's a great thing. That's why I keep asking for videos from everybody, because I'm like, if we can do this with Howard, and it's, I want one of Terry, I want one of Linda. I don't care where it comes from. I just want to do it. So with that, I got to say this. I hope you enjoyed what we did. We will correct this. We will get this done because, like I said, she's my Southern mom for a reason. She's the reason why I go to Alabama. She's the reason why Terry and I went down there with Victoria Renee. And Victoria Renee is on next week's show. So have a good night tonight. A better day tomorrow. If you see someone without a smile, and I'm sure Linda, Terry, and Howard are making a lot of people smile these days. Thank you all for so much. And thank you, Edie Hand and DJ. We will see you next week.
Bye, guys.